welcome back to the channel. Got my kids camping out here. Wanted to run through some of our propagating tips and how we make a couple $100, close to $1,000 in just a few minutes of work with the right materials and the right knowledge. So let's jump right into this. We use our aloe vera as the rooting hormone. So we do not use any harmful chemicals or polluting chemicals like with your rooting compounds that you buy from the store. Now, having the right tools is very important. You want a nice sharp blade or a sharp pair of scissors in order to not damage your cutting, and you want a nice clean flat cut. Now I'm going to take a quick cutting from this little fig tree here, and this is basically how we're doing it. We take all those leaves off, and I will damage the last leaf that's fully developed. There is your little tiny cutting. This is what they look like about a week later, and in about a week or two we will be able to up pot these into a large gallon pot and be able to sell them for $15 to $20 a piece. Now this is a super tiny cutting. You can see that there is several nodes. There's about 4 nodes on there. So we will bury these 2 nodes. We're gonna take our aloe vera, stick this right in, get it covered in our aloe vera juice, and now this is ready to go in some soil. Super simple. You're just placing this right in, and this is done. Now I want to cover a few very crucial steps and important things to know when you're taking cuttings so you do not have much failure. So I'm going to set this little guy in the mother plant here. We've got a couple dozen of these fig trees propagated up already and in several stages of growth. We've got small ones, large ones, decent size ones. That is a $10 to $15 fig tree right there. Also our goji berries. We've got all these gojis propagating the same method that we had used for all of our other perennial woody cuttings. You can see that it is quite dark in here. The sun is going down, but we have a 70% shade cloth up in this greenhouse to allow some decent shade. We get a little bit of sunlight through the bottom here, but not enough to actually burn these plants up and dry them out. You want to continually keep these cuttings moist. You do not want these cuttings to dry out because the moisture is what allows them to actually throw off roots from those undifferentiated cells that are on each node. So as we're using this greenhouse as a propagation station, we have our shade cloth up, not allowing any direct sunlight onto any of these plants. We've got an absolute ton of plants propagating in here, and most of them are perennials, and we use most of our annuals in our aquaponics box. That is the next crucial factor that affects your cuttings. The medium that you are using. We use our water, our guppy pond water, and our aquaponics pebbles, the little clay pebbles that have a whole bunch of pores in them and allow good beneficial bacteria to grow and prosper and allow your roots to develop. So we use water and clay pebbles on most of our annual cuttings to root them fast and get them repotted up. And we use a soil medium consisting of 50% finished compost, sifted finished compost, about 50% of store-bought soil most of the time. Soil can be very expensive, so we try and extend all of the soil we have and bulk it up with our own compost to allow us to have a little more money, so we're not spending a ton of money on soil every time we gotta pot stuff up. We can stretch our soil much further. So I think I've covered most of the crucial aspects of actually taking your cuttings. Now I just kind of want to walk around and show all of the cuttings and all of the plants that we've propagated for a profit. All right, let's check out our removable bench here. We've got a bunch of little rose cuttings, miniature rose bushes, pineapple sage, red currants. You can see the red currants already throwing growth off about 2 weeks in here. I will leave these for another week or so, so I know that we have fully developed roots in there. We do not want to take them out too early. So time is of the essence with our cuttings. You want to let them all develop properly. We've got all of this stevia propagating, and it is doing actually pretty well. It does not like to be propagated in water, and it is actually a perennial plant in like zone 7, 8, or 9. We are in zone 5A, 4B, right on the edge here, so this does not survive outside. So this is basically an annual to us. So I like to propagate this in the soil as opposed to water. You will find that certain plants do not do as well, and certain plants just prosper in the cool water with clay pebbles. Coming over to all of our perennial succulents here. We keep all these around our little pond out there. I have this propagated cold hardy kiwi. Now I propagated a couple dozen of these and planted a couple of them underneath our willow tree down at the 3-acre property. This is a super easy propagator and it's very profitable. $10 to $15 per plant. Same thing with our figs and our goji berries. We sell for about 15 bucks. And we've got all of these gojis propagating I had shown. Now our red vein sorrel here, we've got an absolute ton of this. These roots are doing very well on this, and this is just a super simple plant. We propagate this by division. This is not something that we actually take cuttings from. We just kind of divide the roots off like rhubarb or like a hosta. Very simple to grow. It is a nice luscious perennial, and we absolutely love this stuff. Good for seasoning our meats and putting a few leaves in our salad. Right, let's swing over here. Try and crouch down without breaking any plants here. These elderberries are the Bob Gordon variety, and these have been rooted up for about a month here, I believe. I had got these in a swap here, so I traded some figs and some of our annual plants and basically got these for free. Aside from our Gordon elderberries, which are already throwing off little flowers on them, we have got our York elderberries propagated here, and I'm going to propagate an absolute ton of these. Just kind of wanted to experiment, and it seems to be very easy to propagate these elderberries, and they are very profitable. We can sell those for $10 to $15 a piece, just like all of the rest. Coming right up here, we've got more red currants that are not doing so well. I think we lost maybe one of them, but the rest have green stalks still. So all of those are going to pull through, and basically we got 7 out of 8 that have successfully propagated. We've got grapes on grapes. I got a couple grape cuttings in here. This is what I have left. I had propagated about 50 grapes, and I had put them all over our property and just kind of propagated these in the winter time from a cold cutting. Some hardwood cuttings from those. Very easy to propagate those. I usually stick 1 or 2 in a pot just to ensure that I will have one that is least successful. I think I had both of them root up in this pot. So this is just a few varieties that we have in our little greenhouse here that we have been propagating with and kind of experimenting to build upon our knowledge and skills with propagating all of this. And we are finding a very, very high success rate with all of our elements combined. Having a nice shade cloth blocking 70% of the sunlight and allowing it to warm up in here but not brutally burn all of these plants. All of these are very delicate when they are cut because they do not have roots yet. Just wanted to run up here and take a look. We've got our comfrey, whole bunch of basils, absolute ton of plants. I took all these hyssop cuttings earlier. Those are gonna start to root up for us. Got a ton of mint, marigolds, a little bit of everything. Lemon balm, basils, even got a small apple tree cutting that we got to root up in here, which is pretty darn neat. Another great propagator for us is strawberries. We sell a lot of strawberries. We only sell these for about 5 bucks a piece. But with the amount of strawberries that we are able to propagate, we can basically make a killing off of all these strawberries. And we always choose the ever-bearing variety because when you have enough water and it's not absolutely burning hot, you will have decent strawberries and you will have runners throwing off all at the same time. And you will basically be able to propagate all those off and just basically catch them in a pot or come by and stick them all in water for a day or 2 and pot them up in a nice shady location, and they will be good to go. So I wanted to make this video kind of short and sweet. I think it's carrying on longer than I wanted it to, but I felt like there was a lot of important information to highlight and kind of point out when you're taking cuttings and when you're learning all of this. It's a very easy, simple process once you get to experiment and kind of see how this actually works. And I thought everyone might find this interesting. We are basically funding our business and funding our greenhouses. We're looking to build another large greenhouse with the profits from our farmers market this season. We've already made quite a bit of money and we are able to save all that up. I wanted to share all of the progress I've made so far, and we are very early in our market season here. So I plan to bring a lot of cool and interesting, unusual, and odd items to people who have never even heard of a lot of this stuff. So being able to inform everybody at the market and through my YouTube channel is very beneficial to me because I can share all this information and I get feedback also. I learn things from everybody who watches these and people I meet and talk to. We're always learning and growing and sharing. If anyone's got any questions, drop it in the comments below. I love hearing everybody's feedback and ideas because there's always something that I'm forgetting or leaving out of the equation.